If music be the food of love, then you have all come to the right place, and you should absolutely get ready for a feast. Though here I of course mean a feast for the ears and not the belly. We are Me and My Mixtape, a podcast that creates and curates a delightful smorgasbord of musical treats in both playlist and chatty podcast form. Each week we change the subject matter of these mixtapes and playlists, bending the themes and genres of them to our very will. My name is Matt Hughes, and joining me as ever is a man with the vibe, look and charisma of a young David Hasselhoff, Mr. Mark Woodiot. Hello, sir.
Wow, I will never ever get tired of these intros. But what's a schmorzenberg or borg or a board? That was a good word.
Smorgasbord is essentially a large horn conch filled with delights.
It sounds. Yeah. I want to have one of those with you.
Yeah, a delightful smorgasbord as well. Not just a regular smorgasbord, a delightful smorgasbord.
God.
Yes, how are you, sir?
I'm really well. I'm very, very excited for today's episode because I know you'll announce what it is in a second, but for the listeners out there, they're probably like, they're going to get something new. They're going to find out new artists. They're going to hear about bands not like Radiohead, not like Jeff Buckley, not like Smashing Pumpkins. During today's topic, I can assure you, we're not going to mention any, even though after only 9 episodes, bands that we're kind of already labelled with, that we will use any avenue to try and discuss. So I really am. I was just saying before we hit record today, spoiler alert, this is my favourite playlist I think we've ever done for Series 1. I'm just absolutely obsessed with it, and I think there's so much to talk about. I'm buzzing, Matt. I'm absolutely ready to go.
Yeah, it's a really fun playlist, this one. So the subject for this week is our current obsessions. I think maybe obsessions is slightly too strong a word.
Yeah.
I think maybe. The current songs, the current bands, the current tunes that me and Mark are sort of currently vibing to. We are... Sorry, Mark.
I was going to say, it doesn't have the same ring to it, does it, on the text of our episode?
No,
current bands that Mark and Matt are kind of listening to quite a lot and can justify saying that they are not obsessed, but like it a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't quite have the same zing or ring to it. So we're recording this we're recording this the week that the podcast will go out, because we wanted it to be as sort of as current and as reflective as the sort of the songs that we are obsessed / currently enjoying as possible, right? I mean, we could have recorded this a long time ago, but we wanted it to be as close as possible to the kind of live date of the podcast.
Massively, and I think that does work. It's a huge advantage to us because me and you change our music taste like the weather, and I will text you and be like, dude, this band's absolutely incredible, and then the next day I'm like, oh, I've discovered another band, fuck them, they're rubbish. So yeah.
We're that cutthroat. And as Mark said, I don't think we'll be talking about Radiohead or Smashing Pumpkins in this episode. So yes, current obsessions. Mark, how difficult was it? I mean, I know we've sort of changed this playlist a few times kind of over the last few weeks or months or whatever, because we have wanted it to be like, oh, I've just discovered this amazing band, or I've saw this band live, or this album was released and I want to talk about it or whatever. But was it quite hard to kind of to focus on these 5?
It was, and I think, as you have clearly said, and the listeners now know, we're recording only a couple of days before the episode comes out. And things happen in life, things change. You might have a happy day, you might have a sad day, and music is a big reflection on our own emotions. And when I listen to the tracks at the moment, especially in the order you've put them in, Matt, beautifully, I must say, especially towards the end of this playlist, it speaks to me like, you know, music can have that power where it feels like they've written the song for you. Yeah. Some of these songs that are on here that just perfectly go hand in hand. I'm not just saying this, but there's something about this playlist that the journey we go on, it feels like me and you are choosing the same songs to just perfectly sit aside each other. There's like this journey we go on, and we'll get into that on today's episode. But it was hard, dude, because I felt really under pressure to only have 5 tracks. Normally we can do it, like, you know, 5 songs that are bands that are going to play a festival. But there was just a couple that I really felt really, really awkward in, like, leaving them off. I felt guilty. So I think I might have messaged you this week and said, dude, just lock the playlist now. Like, I just leave it now, please, because
I
I'm
can't
waking
keep
up.
changing it.
I'm waking up at 3 a.m. saying, but I am currently obsessed with Radiohead, so can we have Paranoid Android?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. Do you want to give a shout out to any other acts or other tunes that kind of maybe nearly made it? Or
Oh, no, they can have that. I think what will happen is they'll come round in another Current Obsessions, maybe another time in the near future.
Nice. I like that. Okay, well, look, let's get cracking. The opening track, the big opening track, and it's a lovely opening track, is Yourself, Mark.
Wow, this is quite rare, isn't it, now on this mixtape for me to start? But it's a lot of pressure, and this band, I will happily say, I've only recently discovered, so it's not this obsession that's been going on for some time, and it's High Vis. And I kept seeing the name on posters, and I kept hearing people talk about them up there with the bands like Unpeople. Everyone was saying, oh, this is one of the bands to watch, you know, give these bands your time. And the track is called Guided Tour. Now, to sum up High Vis and my brief love for them, it feels to me like Happy Mondays meets Jane's Addiction. It's got this beautiful guitar tones that is a real time capsule, and for me it's very Stone Roses, but it sounds like Paul Ryder's bass line is all over this, so that's why I get the Happy Mondays feel for it. If you are a child of the 80s and 90s and enjoyed those early bands like Blue Tones, Charlatans, this is the band for you, but with a good singer. Someone said to me the other day, describe High Vis, and for me, I believe it's what Stone Roses would sound like now if they were still releasing music, but with a really much improved singer that isn't an idiot like Ian Brown.
Yeah, it's definitely got absolutely. It's got Baggy all over it, High Vis. I am a big fan of High Vis. I've seen them play a few times. I've been lucky enough to meet the singer of Graham, and he's a really smart, interesting guy. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think it has that sort of, even though they're not from Manchester, I think Graham's actually from Liverpool. I think they've got that sort of 80s, 90s sort of Baggy meets Oasis kind of swagger, but then they also have this, you know, they're very much seen as kind of a hard, even though they're a rock band, I think they're a rock band, they're kind of in that sort of hardcore punk world. They often play kind of hardcore punk events, they tour with hardcore punk bands, they're sort of in that sort of world, even though I think stylistically it's more post-punk, maybe even indie rock as well. So yeah, great shout, and I love this song. I think it's such a brilliant song. It's such an amazing way to start the kind of mixtape.
Isn't it lovely as well that the bass line is kind of leading the song? We've talked in the past about bands that you love, especially like Pixies, Smashing Pumpkins, the Breeders, who we've only talked about in a couple of episodes back, but it's such a great song when the bass line is all over it, and it's kind of giving you the vibe of the whole track and sets the tone for the whole song. And I think that when I listen to this, it's incredible because you said you've seen them at like punk festivals, and then they can play these hardcore shows. That you could put them on at an indie festival. They kind of tick every single box. But I never knew the singer was called Graham, and that just doesn't work for me. It does look like Ian Brown, Liam Gallagher, Graham from Liverpool. You know, it doesn't quite have the same impact.
I mean, the whole band has very, very like English bloke names. Is Graham, Rob, Edward, Martin, and Jack. I mean,
wow,
that's a classic English name lineup. Yeah, I love this song. I thought this record was great, like they're a band I was aware of, and I kind of really liked what I was hearing, and then I saw them live at Outbreak Festival a few years ago, and I mean Graham is a big dude. He's a tall guy, you know, he's really personable and really kind of like disarming. He seems like a really lovely guy, but on stage, not that he's kind of menacing, but he has such kind of charisma, such a really strong sort of presence on stage. And the music is it's fun, like it's really fun kind of rock music, you know, and I'm totally buzzing that we have a band like that sort of around at this sort of stage, and I'm like you, I'm really, really into them.
I'm jealous you've seen them live. I haven't done that yet, but I hope at some point over the summer they'll be at a festival or their own show, because I just want to hear these songs live. I've been absolutely, and I know that's today's topic, but I have been obsessed. I've been addicted. I've been playing this album nearly every day, and the production and everything, it's just, it's so exciting that this band, and I think they're going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I work with a band called Show Me the Body, and in my day job as a PR.
Yeah.
And Graham was actually on a song that was released in September called Stomach, and I love Show Me the Body, but him and the band Show Me the Body together just made this incredible New York meets kind of England anthem, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited for what comes next, because their guided tour record is amazing.
This is more than a view. If you need a light, I'll be your guide. If you need a light, I'll be yours. I've got no reason left to fight it.
What a start.
What a start.
Over to you, my brother from another mother.
So, I'm going to go with a song that I am properly obsessed with. It's a song by a rapper called Hanumankind. He's an Indian rapper, and his song Big Dogs with an AWGS, not Big Dogs.
No,
Big Dogs.
Dogs.
So this song, I don't even know how I discovered it. I think it was kind of, bored, waiting for a doctor's appointment or whatever it is, and I was just, scrolling on TikTok or whatever. And there's a lot of, I get served a lot of reaction videos, and the video for this song is amazing. It's shot in India, and it's essentially a kind of wooden wall of death. And this rapper and then the kind of producer, Kalmi, who produced the track, are kind of in the middle, and around him are cars and motorbikes kind of going round and round and round while he's kind of rapping. And it's really kind of captivating. And then on top of this, you have this song Big Dogs, and it has a stomp. Like, you listen to this when you're walking around, and you just want to kind of like eat up the pavement. You want to you like feel like a complete king when you're walking around. I love this song, and it has a really awesome moment towards the end where the track just drops tempo. It completely changes tempo. The vocal slows down, the beat slows down. And it just almost becomes like a completely different song. I think it's so incredibly cool. Hanumankind has this. He's named after the Hindu deity Hanuman, which apparently personifies honor, courage, and loyalty. And then the kind bit he added himself because he wanted to reflect humanity. He's got such a cool voice. It's kind of a bit squeaky, might be giving it a bit of a disservice. It has a lot of kind of personality to it, a lot of character in his voice, and I just think it just sounds amazing when you're listening to it and you're walking about. I just think it's super cool. Even my kids vibe with this.
Yeah, you know me, I'm not the rap man, and it's the one bit of the mixtape where I feel like I'm really on a different page, where I just need to do some more homework, because it wasn't my genre when I grew up, so I always feel a bit like, what can I contribute to this? But what I will say is the music video is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
He's absolutely huge. Like, the numbers are insane. And what I did see, and what I did see on all the comments, which was really interesting, is how popular he is all over the world. So it's not just India or America. Like, all I kept seeing is flags on all the comments saying, "I'm here from Norway. You are absolutely blowing it up at the moment. We are hearing you on the radio all day." So the scale and the size of this track alone, the reach is insane. But I really liked it, and I was listening going like, this is a great track. Like, It's got everything. It sounded brilliant, but I can't like say it's got the tones of this rapper and it's got the, I've got these certain old rappers that remind me of. I'm just useless, dude, when it comes to rap. But I will say I really liked it. It didn't offend me, and I thought it was a great track. And I like his name. It's very cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I think it's awesome. And you're right, it was a big song. They just released a remix with A$AP Rocky at the end of last year as well. The song just went properly, as they say, viral on TikTok, and that's how I kind of discovered it. And lyrically, it's just loads of fun, and with this kind of this really sort of this voice, this kind of character, this personality that he has these really, he throws out these amazing lines. Like he says the words big stepper, and it's just big stepper. It's very kind of rhythmic. It kind of rolls off your tongue. This is a properly amazing song. Maybe a future one hit wonder. Who knows if Hannah Mankind will kind of, continue with these massive songs, because this came out originally in July last year. So
nice.
So there we go. A little bit of hip hop for the mixtape.
What I will do is we use a little clip that goes in after we talk, as you know, and you'll hear it in a second. And in that clip, I'm going to include the bit that Matt just mentioned about it kind of slowing down, because you think it might be an error with the track. You think, this doesn't work. What the hell's is it like hitting the side of your laptop like an old tape player? But do you know what? It sounds brilliant. And like you said, it takes you in this other direction. So the clip we're going to have in a second will highlight what Matt's talking about. But then after that, go and listen to the actual whole mixtape on Spotify, because the track is amazing. But you won't get it, even with the way Matt describes it, unless you hear it, because it's just crazy, but it works.
Yeah. Banging tune.
They try and push me, then they try and pull me back out when I budge. If you doubt it, then just call my bookie. And my bookie take the bets. Profit size of profit when you know it's coming next. Like, ooh.
Yeah, baby, go bring out the goodie. Snuck it inside the hoodie. Now we turning out your buggy. Yeah. It's cool, I used to fight the bullies. Now I'm fighting with the law. I guess I think.
Brilliant. Right. What a start. Now,
What a start. Yeah.
a lot of the stuff, I'm looking at all the list of the artists, is quite recent, and it's really good because it's like our current obsessions. But I'm changing the term current, and I'm going back to 2002 for this one, because it's a band that had broken up and been out the scene for about 10-15 years, and they're called Colour of Fire. And a lot of people don't know this band because they never got absolutely huge. And in the UK, they weren't as big as they were in Paris, because they were lucky enough to go on a European tour with Placebo. And I speak to the singer quite often. His name's Owen Brinley, and he knows that in Europe they're bigger than they are in the UK, because all the Placebo fans became obsessed with them. But what's quite an interesting story is when they were touring with Placebo, eventually the drummer from Colour of Fire then stepped up and is now the full-time drummer for Placebo.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool, isn't it? Like that's
incredibly cool.
Hell of a little story. And
That's a glow up, as they say.
it's
Mark.
a huge one. But the album is called Pearl Necklace, and it came out, I think, like 2005, something like that. So it's 20 years ago. And the track I've gone for, which could be any track on this album, is called Italics. And I truly believe this. We talk a lot about the British scene, and 20 years ago getting that influx of bands like 100 Reasons, Reuben, Million Dead, Hell is for Heroes, Biffy Clyro, an absolute onslaught of these incredible bands that for me changed the whole music scene. And I believe Colour of Fire should have been up there with the names I've mentioned, but they just kind of slipped through. I mean, they toured with Biffy Clyro, they toured with Hell is for Heroes, and I was lucky enough to see them in the basement of Nottingham Rock City, and I was absolutely blown away. I thought at that point, like, Owen was the best frontman I'd ever seen. The vocal performance on this record is absolutely incredible, and this song really does highlight his range. But the scream, the melody, it will stay in your head. It's got these incredible tones, the riffs. For me, it's got a bit of everything, and like a big mashup of all my favourite bands. And the good news is, when I was doing some research to put this mixtape together, Matt, I went onto their Instagram because I thought, I'll make sure we can tag them in, and when it comes to it. And it blew my mind. It said, after a 20-year absence, Colour of Fire are back in the studio recording a brand new album. And I was
so you didn't know when you put this on originally?
No.
You had no idea.
No idea at all.
Oh, okay.
So I went
amazing.
in and I clicked. I didn't even realise that, they had an Instagram, because 20 years ago there wasn't Instagram for bands. It was Bandcamp and Facebook. So I followed it, and then I was just looking, and they got studio updates from literally like the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I couldn't believe it. It was like I've waited 15, 16 years in a kind of trance, never believing that we would ever get to see Colour of Fire again. They're doing a show in York in July. Might be wrong in the month. It's sometime soon. Brand new album coming out. It was just the scariest time ever, and that confirmed for me that then I had to bring it to you, to bring it to the audience of the mixtape. And I really hope that they had an impact on you, because I know it's 20 years ago, so we can't talk about them on the same page as some of the bands we mentioned today, but I think they're right up your street.
Yeah, so I never heard of them. I'd literally never heard of them at all.
No.
And then you kind of told me the story of putting them on and then finding out that they were sort of, well, I didn't know that it was that way around. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is properly amazing. So I'd never heard them before, but I've listened to the record and it's brilliant. Like, it doesn't sound like 19, 20, 21 years old at all. Like, it sounds very kind of current, to be honest. I mean, obviously it has lots of, because it is literally from that timepiece, but it has a lot of those sort of nods to those sort of other British rock bands, a lot that we've spoken about over the last sort of few mixtapes and podcasts this season. Great vocalists, really interesting melodies. I love it, totally love it. Can't wait. I mean, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Like, is their sound going to be that sound? Or, 20 years changes people as human beings, let alone musicians. So what's going to be really interesting is, are they going to come back and sound like Portishead? Are they going to come back and sound like Beastie Boys? Who knows? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really interesting.
Have you ever heard the band The Grammatics?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I don't
So
know them
the
either.
singer went off after Colour of Fire and joined a band that were quite successful, actually, called The Grammatics, and that was very different to Colour of Fire. So you're right. I'm thinking, is he going to come back and be influenced by what he did in between? He's become a dad since, so his songwriting's going to be different. The drummer's
Probably gonna
been
be a lot sleepier.
Yeah, the drummer's been all around the world with Placebo.
Yeah.
So he's experienced life on another level. I want them to play festivals. I'm going to speak to James, be like, let's book them for 2000 Trees. Let's do what we can, because they've got a good following. It's just one of those bands, a bit like the early Reuben days, when it was that band that no one really knew about, and you were like, I've got something that you haven't, and you could share to people. The album, because it's called Pearl Necklace and has this hand-drawn robot on, is quite iconic. The moment you put that album on, genuinely, every song could be a single, and it's such a great thing to share. So if I can share it to the audience of the Me and My Mixtape podcast, I think like it's one of the best gifts I can give to the people, because no one's going to know about them.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a proper, could possibly have been a band that, you brought forward for the underrated as well.
Yeah.
Or, one of those bands that maybe just flew under people's radar because of the time, because of the other bands around, because there wasn't maybe that sort of level of support in the industry for those sort of bands at the time. So, yeah, I mean, we really can't wait to hear what they're going to sound like.
Yeah, poor Matt, he's had to wait about 3 months for an album. I've had to wait 17 years, but you can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like it.
Hurry up.
I'm so glad you like it, dude.
I can see them at Trees as well. That's it. That feels very, that feels really a natural place for them to sort of exist. To kind of come back and discover a new audience, as well as slightly older fans as well. Awesome. We're going to keep it going. So my next pick is Arlo Parks and her song Devotion. So Arlo Parks is an English singer-songwriter, and she had a really incredible debut album called Collapsed in Sunbeams, and it was like went high in the charts. She won the Mercury, she won Brits Awards, and it's like sort of indie and R&B and soul and all sorts of really beautiful, interesting sort of genres, and she has this just an incredible voice. So I really like that record, but she released a record in 2023 called My Soft Machine, and off that, this song Devotion came from it. And I mean, I know I said before that these are songs that maybe we're not obsessed with, but I mean, I was obsessed with this song. I was obsessed with her soft, kind of soulful, delicate, kind of not broken sounding, but just kind of innocent vocal, with essentially a song that sort of fits in this sort of homage to 90s indie rock, I guess. Yeah, I totally loved it. She's made a bunch of different videos for it with kind of her band, and I love it. I mean, she says that she was influenced by Fontaines DC and My Bloody Valentine, as well as a bunch of other kind of rock bands. But I as a kind of sound and as a direction, beautiful soul voice meets 90s indie rock is the genre that I want to exist like a lot more than it currently does, because Devotion is a stunning song, I think.
Yeah, for me, it's an absolutely incredible embodiment of kind of modern meets vintage. Her voice, dude, is beautiful, and I've heard the name so many times, right? And I will say it about myself. Sometimes I'm a bit ignorant, so I've never listened to Sabrina Carpenter because I keep hearing the name on the radio. It's not my cup of tea. I just don't buy into it. I'm like, that's not for me. And I never knew much about Arlo Parks. I saw the amount of awards that she had won, the recognition in the industry, but I just never thought it was for me. So I was very ignorant, and that's my own mistake. And I can't believe how beautiful her voice is. I think you used the word like this innocent vocal. It's so soft, but she has this vocal line that goes over the top of this, and we've said it with High Vis actually. I think today's episode is going to be very bass heavy on this kind of really structured bass line, and the two marry up so well together. But then suddenly you get this huge kind of rock heavy guitar riff that just hits you like a bomb, and her vocal arrangements, the verses, the bass line, the crash cymbal that comes in, it's just being absolutely pounded with this heavy guitar. I've had this song, I mean, we've had this playlist, between us now, I think, for about a week that's been finalised. I've had this song and this album in my car, because I've been doing loads of driving this last week, for 3 days, pretty much on solid repeat. And you said about current obsessions, I didn't bring this to today's mixtape, but I can't get this song out of my head. I genuinely, I need help. Like, it's fucking unbelievable. And I'm now like totally devoted. Wink, wink.
Whoa,
but I am.
Hey. Yeah,
I am, dude. Like, it's probably the best thing you've brought that I was totally ignorant and unaware of. And I'm just like, thank you, Matt, because now I'm going to listen to so much more and stop being such a old man and being like, oh, I'm not listening to Taylor Swift. Oh, not for me. No. I don't know why I suddenly turned northern, but
I like it though. Yeah. I mean, fair play. Like, all thanks to Arlo. I mean, she has this really interesting kind of way of writing these poetic lyrics, and she has a really brilliant way of creating intimate stories in her songs that you as a listener kind of really can take part of and feel part of. And what I love about Devotion is, I'm a guitar guy. I like hip hop, I like lots of other things, but I am a guitar guy, and the way that the song builds these. I mean, you mentioned it before. Her vocal delivery, her vocal lines, the writing of these melodies it's exceptional. Like, as someone that attempts to write songs, to hear someone do it seemingly so effortlessly is mind blowing. I love this album. I love this song, and I would love Arlo Parks to lean more into this, but I also totally appreciate that she has a bunch of other things that she wants to do. I mean, this record has all sorts of things going on. This album, you know, Phoebe Bridgers is on a track, and there's definitely some pop things, and definitely more some soul things. And this is kind of, you know, her kind of experimental guitar bit, especially towards the end. Like you said, it's this kind of crescendo of heavier guitars, but yeah, this song lives rent free in my head pretty much on a daily basis.
So good. And what I'm loving about today's playlist, and this will continue with my choice, a lot of love for the female fronted bands, the female vocalists, how great we've got it right now in Britain. There's some great bands, some great talent coming through, some great songwriters, and I can't wait to listen to more.
I got my chauffeurs on the clutches sticking, trying to dark blue. Why do I trust you when you tell me I'm a good thing? Girl, I wanna protect you, I do. Ooh, your eyes destroying me. I'm wide open.
So let's go to your next choice, Mark.
Well, it is a female-fronted band. It's a female-fronted band, and they're from Brighton. It kind of classes as indie math pop, which the cool kids will understand that, but I don't understand what that means. But it's a band called Orchards, and the song is called Grown. And I discovered this band where there was a festival in Leicester where I used to live, and it was called the Handmade Festival, and it was done by John Helps from Maybe She Will. He kind of got all the local venues around and put on loads of great up-and-coming bands and unsigned bands. You'd buy a pass and go from pub to pub and discover loads of new bands. And at the end of the night, I saw this band for the very first time. I walked away and I suddenly became obsessed. I was like, I'm going to go home, listen to everything, because the performance they put on that night was just absolutely mind-blowing. And Lucy, the singer, I think is just absolutely incredible. Her energy, her harmonies, the vocals. They put themselves out there like Paramore as a free piece, but obviously they have a drummer when they play live. And this song actually does sound... It could easily be on Paramore's latest album. I think it's got that hooky Hayley Williams style chorus. The guitars are very, very Paramore, but it'll stay in your head, like we discussed with Arlo Parks. This single is brilliant, and the good news is, as we're sitting here right now and you're listening to this episode, the band have a brand new album out in only a couple of weeks' time called Bicker, and I can't wait because I'm hoping that this sets the tone for the rest of the songs on that album. But it's just unbelievable. They're going to be playing 2000 Trees, so I can't wait to see them again this year, and I just love it, dude. I love the bass guitar. We've talked about that a lot today. I love the harmonies, and the production sounds brilliant, and they should be huge. They're one of those bands that, you know, they're doing quite small venues on their UK tour, and you know, when you just see this band and you think, like, why are you not massive? Like, why are you not touring with Paramore? Why are you not playing these huge shows? And I think their time will come. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know Orchards massively. I've seen them live a few times, and I've kind of heard songs now and then. And every time I hear something, I really dig it. I mean, I think they've only released like one album. I know they've done EPs and singles and stuff, but this will be their kind of second record. I mean, I think what really stands them. I mean, the songwriting is great, but what really, really stands them above everything else is the vocal. I think the singer's vocal is just gorgeous. I think it's confident and delicate as well. It's the again, similar to Arlo Parks, just the melody that she's able to extract from quite a simple tune. No offense to the band, but it's amazing. It's an earworm, but you really,
I just couldn't get it out of my head. I think of the playlist, this is the song that you've brought that I've listened to the most. I just kept repeating it. It just her vocal and her vocal melody are just amazing. I've kind of gone into I think there's a song called Bug, and there's a few other singles that they've kind of released from this record that's coming up in March. So yeah, I pre-ordered the record on the basis of hearing these songs and your inclusion on this mixtape as well. Hurrah! It works.
Well, I'm hoping that me and you will get a bit of time at 2000 Trees, grab a beer, and we'll go and see it live, because
that'd be lovely.
Absolutely fantastic, dude. And when I saw them in Leicester, that was years ago, they were so tight. They've only got one guitarist, but I love his little licks he does. He's all over the place with his little stuff. He doesn't just rely on chords. He's always doing these little hooks and these little riffs and these like picky little tunes. And like you said, it's less is more. It's not taken away from the band. It's just a simple really simple tune. But when the vocals match up with a guitar riff, not in a cheesy way like 80s metal, when it's done well, that's going to stay in your head forever. I mean, most of the songs today that we've discussed up to this point will be literally in your head all day. So
yeah, I mean, again, no offense to the band, I think the songs are great. The production sounds gorgeous, but yeah, Lucy's vocal, the vocalist's kind of melodic tracks are just. It's funny, isn't it? You kind of listen to these things, and this is like not old man shouting at a cloud, but just you do listen to some of this stuff, and there's a few more tracks coming up later on in the playlist as well. You do listen to these things, these bands, and wonder why the industry isn't set up to make these absolutely massive, because I don't feel like there's any reason why they shouldn't be more household names. I hear lots of other things that get very, very big that are nowhere near as kind of interesting or as strong as some of these songs. And again, I'm not having a moan. This is about positivity, and Orchards are wonderful, and hopefully the second record will take them there. But it does frustrate me sometimes when you kind of listen to some things and just go, this should be massive. This should be everywhere. I love this song. I totally love this song, and I've added it to like some of my other like playlists that I have. Lots and lots of walking around town playlists, or on the tube late at night coming back from football playlists or whatever. It's awesome.
It's going to make you happy, isn't it? You're going to listen to this, and you're going to want to tap your foot. You're going to want to go out in the sun and dance. It's that's why I can't wait to see it. Hopefully at a sunny festival in the summer.
So I'm going to come with a sort of similar-ish band, I think. A kind of small, scrappy, UK kind of indie band. So I really wanted to shout this band out. They've kind of not released that much, really. They've not actually done that much over the last few years, and I know they've had a few kind of lineup changes, and they're currently a two-piece. But the band are called Snake Eyes, and the song is called Hug Me. And it's like a 2-minute ditty, and it features a friend of mine called Thomas Brooker, who is a brilliant band photographer, and then you kind of have the vocalist and guitarist Jim Heffy, and this song is just 2 minutes of witty, fun, upbeat catchiness. They have a brilliant video which kind of pastiches the Verve's Bittersweet Symphony, where the singer Jim is walking down a street trying to get people to hug him, and lots of people just sort of duck out of the way and move on, sort of thing. It's just there's a guest vocalist, the vocalist from a German band called Pabst is also on it. But I mean, it goes by super quick, and it's one of those songs you just got to stick on constant repeat. Snake Eyes are great. Snake Eyes, I think, have real potential, and Hug Me, Hugme, as they say in the song over and over again, I think could be a real calling card for them, a real sort of direction. I think the vocalist Jim has come out and said, from what I've read, the song is in somewhat about his struggles with mental health. I think he was signed off work due to this anxiety disorder that he has, and he wrote the song during recovery, meant to be a sort of positive affirmation or some a kind of a positive direction or a kind of a way out for him creatively. And it's a brilliant song, and if they can come up with a record of songs that are this good, I mean, the sky is the limit, I think. Awesome band, awesome song, and I'm really chuffed. Like I said, Tom is a really good guy, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's a really, really awesome song.
It's brilliant. And if you asked me for one word to describe this song, I would say, can I please have 2 words, Matt? And you'd say, of course. And I'd say it's it's a pure banger.
Yeah.
It's, do you know what it reminded me of? And I'm just trying to think of bands that have that kind of impact in such a short space of time. It reminds me of early kind of Hives, Eagles of Death Metal, and very early Queens of the Stone Age. It's really, really just punch you in the face. There's 2 minutes of great songwriting, really catchy. You'll be singing the chorus for hours. It doesn't try and be melodic and take you on a journey and have a big breakdown or anything pretentious. It just is what it says it is. And within 2 minutes, you're like, that was just what I needed. It was like an energy drink of music. It was just brilliant.
Exactly. It's a Red Bull. It's a thing that you consume and fill you with energy. But, it also, I think you just touched on it there. I think it's what's really interesting about the song is it feels like it says quite a lot. It feels like, the band get a lot in 2 minutes in terms of its vibe and its feeling, but also kind of lyrically and what the song is sort of about. It's so confident. It's so not cocky, but it's so it has a real swagger to it. Similar to High Vis. It has that sort of, High Vis has a swagger. This has a swagger, but I think also, with a kind of little nod to sort of, telling people that I'm not completely okay, but I'm just going to, keep going with life and trying to be upbeat and stuff. It's awesome. It's honest and it's raw and it's rough, but it has like that Hives, as you mentioned, that sort of Hives tightness, it's that tightness of the rhythm section and the guitars and then the double vocals, and it's really inventive. I love it. Everyone has 2 minutes of time. Check it out. I highly doubt that it won't be stuck in your head for at least a month.
What I want to do at this point is it changes tone a bit. So we've had quite a mix so far, Matt. I think we've had a real range, and we tick a few boxes for the listeners today. But I want to pick a song now that is personally, for me, part of my album of the year. We might only be just in March, so there's 9 months for any other band to come along and steal the crown. But the moment I heard this track and then kind of digested it, it sent chills down my spine, but in a really good way. And to be that confident, and this band is a super group, which is made up of band members from My Chemical Romance, Coheed and Cambria, Thursday, and then is it Circa Survive?
Yep.
I mean, there's a bit of everything there, and the band is LS Dunes. Now, this track and any song of this album, which is called Violet, genuinely would make today's playlist. But I've gone for the song that had the biggest impact on me, and it's called Like Magic. Now, the singer Anthony Green is one of the best out there, and to start a song where it's his vocal isolated and that's it, there's no guitar to back it up, there's no bass, there's not even a drum, not even a hi-hat, it's just him, says to me this is confidence. This isn't just a bit of fun supergroup with some mates having a piss up and releasing an album. This is a serious project, and you may get 30 seconds of just him singing, and then it all comes in. The music comes in with it, the melody, the guitar tones. It is genuinely my album of the year, and this band excite me like nobody else right now. It doesn't feel like a supergroup. I don't look at it and go, oh, I'm listening for My Chemical Romance style guitars there from Frank. Oh, I really hope that the drums are like Thursday or whatever. I'm listening to it as a brand new band that has no kind of stamp on it from their previous work, and I can't believe that this is a side project for all the band members I've mentioned today. I know already, Matt, without even hearing it from you, that you love this band, because we talked about it slightly away from the podcast recording, because we ran a competition for the vinyl, and it is unbelievable, isn't it? I want to hear you gush over this, because this band are so just refreshing.
Yeah. So, full disclosure, I work with LS Tunes. I'm their radio plugger. But I can't believe that Like Magic wasn't released as a single. The album is fantastic, the album Violet. But I think Like Magic is probably my favourite song on the record, mainly because Anthony Green is one of the most underrated vocalists of his generation, and he uses this kind of slowish, sad song, I guess, as a real workout, as a real way of showcasing exactly what he's got. Beautiful vocal, gorgeous, heartfelt verses, huge chorus line, backed up with kind of the band behind him as well. This is a wonderful Will Yip produced record. The whole album is like less than 40 minutes. It goes by in like a whisper and a heartbeat. It is beautiful. I think anybody that is looking at this band as a sort of side project, something to do while the other members are bored, is doing it a disservice, because I think it's as good as anything else. Most of the people on this kind of in this band have kind of released on their other projects. I think it's a phenomenal record. I think this is also better than their debut.
Yeah, miles better in my opinion.
And I think the songwriting, Anthony's vocals, the general just vibe of them as a band, as a group of people. They're a group of friends. They've been a group of friends, and now they kind of come together. But as a band, and I was lucky enough to see them play and support Rise Against on this recent tour, and we went and recorded a live session at Maida Vale together, and they're just there. They're just there. They set up, they play, boom. And you can see with Anthony's vocal how much it takes out of him doing it. It is a very, very difficult way of singing. Not how he's chosen, but how he sings. The noises that he can make, from a beautiful, stunning, high-pitched canary to a guttural growl. It's really impressive, and I love that this is that moment in the playlist where you just bring in things down. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You've had kind of a bit of up and down. You've had a bit of experimentation. You've had some banging choruses, which obviously this does also have. But this is more about introspection. This is more about exploring kind of sadness, and yeah, it's such a brilliant song. I love this song.
I can't add anything else. I'm just going to say, listen to this little snippet now, but not just this song. Give yourself time. I think Matt said the album's not even 40 minutes long. You can afford to give yourself that time. It's not even half of... just go for a walk. Go to the shop, buy yourself some Doritos or something, put your earphones on, and just get lost in this song. I mean, we've plugged Doritos and Red Bull today, so I'm hoping that by the end of today's episode, we turn up and we've got a big crate of Red Bull and blue cool Doritos.
Is that how it works? Because I need to start dropping things that I like and use on a daily basis. Lovely.
Everything you do, like magic. Even when you shut me out, it's true. This can be the last breathtaking. In between the two of us, come through. Everything you do, like magic.
It's my turn, and I'm going to sort of stick with this kind of mid mixtape.
Yeah.
Well, actually, this is kind of more than like the
tail end.
Mixtape is the tail end. This is the vibe that we've gone for. We're bringing things down
Massively.
I think in a really natural way, but I think it's focusing on melody and invention. So I am going for Bon Iver, Justin Vernon, Bon Iver. I say Bon Iver, some people say Bon Iver. I'm not entirely sure what's correct, but I'm going to say Bon Iver. And I'm going to choose a song called Speyside, which is off his recent Sable EP. I'm not entirely sure if we've ever spoken about Bon Iver, but...
Not yet, no.
So I'm a very big Bon Iver fan. I like some of the stuff that he has pushed away from, and I really enjoy his experimentation, even if it's not entirely something that I get on board. He's an artist that I always find I get something from, which I feel like are the very best kind of artists that you kind of find and follow and kind of have close to your heart. So Sable was an EP released late last year in October. And it's 3 songs, and it's 3 songs that he sort of wrote and recorded roughly over kind of a 4-year period. And he didn't want to include it on his album, which is coming later on this year, which is called Sable Fable. He felt that these 3 songs kind of worked as a triptych, as a kind of a little piece, a little puzzle by themselves. I feel like the 3 songs are all very sort of... It's Bon Iver. It's all very downbeat. You have these beautiful double, triple vocal, kind of ghostly vocal effects that he has on his melodic kind of lines. You have very simple but really beautifully played acoustic guitar. But then you have lots of very interesting kind of production choices. That there's a song... award season, which is the final song on this EP, which I nearly put on, but I just thought that's a bit crazy, because you essentially have 2 minutes or so where it's just Bon Iver singing a melodic line, and there's no music underneath it, so he's just making this melody up, and it almost seemingly without any music, and then the music sort of just kind of comes in slowly with some keyboards and guitar, and then you have horns, and then at one point at the end it's just boom, saxophone. Have some of that. Bang. This isn't that. This is Speyside. This is slightly more of an upbeat track. And I think it's my favourite of the 3, but it's difficult because it changes. This EP, I think like most EPs, they're just very nice just to stick on. It doesn't take too much of your time. They kind of come in, come out, listen to them again, on repeat. The song is named after... single malt whiskey, so there we go. This is another dropout for some Speyside single malt whiskey. If anybody wants to sort of some single malt whiskey, hello. It was written in 2021. It's another song that he says that he wrote in the middle of the woods, which is kind of a very strong hark back to his debut album for Emma Forever, which was written in the woods, by himself, trying to contest with heartbreak. If you don't like Bon Iver now, I don't think this is going to change your mind. I do think, though, in the context of the mixtape, Like Magic into Speyside is a beautiful, heartfelt, sad moment. But I think we've mentioned in the podcast before, I love listening to sad songs. I love sad music. I love being I love being happy but listening to sad music, and I like being sad listening to happy music. So I think this kind of part of the mixtape is quite a reflection of me and you as people as well.
No, massively.
Sad bastards.
For me, dude, I'm really glad to hear Bon Iver sound like it's kind of that reminiscence of his older music. This sounds to me like the early works. And
Definitely.
how is it possible that he can make me feel depressed and happy, full of hope, all at the same time? Like, there's not many songwriters that can do that. Maybe Dustin from Thrice, but other people, they don't do that to me. Actually, let's get them now ticked off. Radiohead. But I didn't think that Bon Iver could get any more Bon Iver. Like, this song is a masterpiece, and the vocal range in this song alone is just beautiful. Now, I won't go into much detail because it doesn't need to be, but I've gone through a big loss in my life recently, huge, and I felt this huge, huge hole in my heart. And there's a line on this song that says, "Nothing really happened how I thought it would." And I've never felt a line of a song hit me as hard as that. And honestly, this song and the EP has been nothing but therapeutic to me. So I feel like when I look at the lyrics to this song and I read along on Spotify and YouTube, it's like a letter that I could have written to myself if I was a better writer and actually could use the words and the poetry like he does. But I can't thank him enough, or you, Matt, for putting this song on this playlist, because, you know, sometimes you need music as therapy, or music as just a bit of a way of someone holding your hand or putting their arm around you and saying, it's going to be okay. Like, sometimes it doesn't need to be a counselling session or talking to a friend. A song can speak like on another way, like volumes. This song for me is just absolutely perfect, and I adore this songwriter. I adore all of his music, and I didn't know that actually about the fact that he left it off because he didn't feel it went with the album. So that excites me, that what the hell's the album going to be like, because it's out this year. These 3 songs should be on every single album he's ever done. They're all great. So now I'm just left thinking, are they going to be different? Do these 3 songs not have the same feel or the vibe that the album's going for? Because he never plays it safe, does he? He evolves. And every album by him could be very different. And I'm very, very excited right now to know what's coming from him.
Yeah, I mean, he's released one new single, which is called Everything is Peaceful Love, and it's a lot more, I mean, even the title, Everything is Peaceful Love, it's a lot more upbeat, it's a lot more kind of optimistic.
Right.
But I think I agree completely with what you said. I think what I love about this EP, I mean, it's 12 minutes long, this EP, and it is one of those kind of pieces of music that, you know, you can just have on loop. It's just this, even though it's very, very lo-fi, there's so much invention, there's so much interesting musicality and kind of construction in it that it just feels like you can just have it on repeat and repeat and repeat. Yeah, there's a really good writer called Brady Brickner-Wood, and they write for Pitchfork, and they wrote about this. In a moving suite of songs about loneliness and disappointment, Justin Vernon distills the familiar pleasures of his extraordinary oeuvre with clarity and confidence. I think this, despite its kind of downbeatness, shows an artist kind of ready for it. He feels new leash of life sort of vibes to it, you know, like bring things back to this simple moment, you know, because he's an artist that has experimented with huge production and electronics and all sorts of things. So what is so lovely about Sable, And it's not a nostalgia thing. It's not a retreating thing. It's not going back to what worked, whatever, because he got massive, doing a bunch of other interesting, different production style things. But what is great is hearing him kind of revisit this sound and this production, and it's just beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
Serves to suffer, make a hole in my foot, and I hope you look as I fill my book. Oh, what a waste of wood. Nothing's really happened like I thought it would.
It's a lovely end to this mixtape, and we've got one more choice each. And I do feel that LS Dunes has taken this, and I mean this in a nice way. It's just dropping down slowly, really getting lower and lower. And Bon Iver now is taking the tone in a whole new way, and I didn't want to change that. So my next track, I think, goes well with it, and it's an absolutely huge song, so it's not like I'm bringing this to everyone's music palette now. It's the incredible Cigarettes After Sex, and the song is called Apocalypse. Now, I didn't realise how big this group were. My wife was playing the album in the house. I was like, who's this? This sounds good. And she's like, Cigarettes After Sex, and I had not heard of them. But I must say now that this must be one of the best, most beautiful songs in the world. We've talked heavily today about bass guitar, but it's so pinnacle on this track. If my deepest emotions could talk, I think they would sound like a song by Cigarettes After Sex, because this could be music for David Lynch. This could be used on an episode of Severance. And I've got this feeling that I'll be that guy that will never get to say I've seen them live, which frustrates me because I didn't realise they played the UK this year. I missed it. And a bit like the film Lost in Translation, this can hit differently. If you're on your own and you're walking past a group of people, try it. Put your headphones on. Just take yourself on a slow walk and let yourself get lost in this music, because you can be on your you can be on your own in your own little world in this crazy big environment. And if you just sit down, maybe by a river or in a park, and I might sound like a hippie, but I'm just try it. Take in the melody alone and just let this album play. I don't know, there's something about this song that you just get to see how beautiful everything is. And I've not done any drugs today, Matt. I promise you, I'm not high, but it's true. And it's those little things that mean so much. And you are going to listen to this song and feel uplifted. And it's a slow song, and the vocals will completely captivate you. They'll be inside your head, and you will get completely lost in the music. And that's why I say it reminds me of like Lost in Translation. You could easily just be on your own in a busy city like Tokyo or Hong Kong, and then doesn't matter what's going on around you, you can just let the music be your company for that moment, and let this be your company. Let Cigarettes After Sex take you on a journey, and let Apocalypse be the song that starts that journey for you, because my God, it's phenomenal. And I have a good friend called Tom, and he was around here, and he was like, I've not heard it either. My wife's like, you've not heard of Cigarettes After Sex? And we both were like jumping on Spotify to kind of like argue and say, look, see, they've only got 1 million listeners, and it's something crazy like 200 million listeners or something insane. They sold out the O2 in London 2 nights running. So I was like, oh God.
What?
Like, yeah. Like, I didn't realise they're absolutely huge,
Wow.
dude. So I was really, my wife was just kind of giving me that look of like, shush now. You might always tell me about music, but this is my moment. And I was like, yeah, you've given me something great. So for Christmas, I bought the vinyls of both albums in that way of, here you are, babe, these are for you. This is, I can't wait for you to have these albums that you love so much, knowing that I would get to listen to them properly with my headphones at night and really enjoy them. Good trick that. Buy your wife an album that you want. It works.
It does. It's true. So I don't know this band. I didn't know this band, but weirdly, I recognise the song, and I don't know if that's because. So this was from the first record, wasn't it? This was from their kind of their debut album, and it must have been one of those songs that appeared on lots of things. Like, I don't know if they were on adverts or kind of match of the day roundups or whatever.
Yeah.
But the song was instantly recognisable to me, but I don't know the band. I didn't know the band at all. You know, which is always nice when something is brought to my attention that I'm not aware of. I certainly didn't know they were big enough to sell out the O2 twice. That's properly crackers.
Mm.
And so you have seen them or you haven't seen them live?
I haven't, no. So I'd listened to them and then went online and was like, oh my God, they've played these huge arenas and stuff. So now I'm like, I need to go and see them.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the song, and I went back into listening to this record, with, you know, self-titled Cigarettes After Sex, and yeah, I mean it's got some really, really massive songs. It's, how would you describe it musically? I mean, it's kind of chill, I guess. It's quite sort of like, it's sad, but sort of chill. I think the kind of guitarist singer is also the producer, and it sounds utterly gorgeous.
I was going to say, do you like it? Are you a fan? Yeah.
I really like it, yeah. You know, it's very dreamy. It's kind of rock and pop, but it also is very, very dreamy. It takes its time, which I like. And again, in the context of the mixtape, the LS Dunes into Bon Iver into Cigarettes After Sex, that 3 is a lovely sad 3-piece. That's a lovely triptych of sadness for me. But yeah, I'm definitely a band that I will invest some more time in. Yeah, great.
Got the music in you, baby, tell me why. Got the music in you, baby, tell me why. You've been locked in there forever and you just can't say goodbye. Kisses on the foreheads of the lovers wrapped in your arms.
It's back to you to finish it off. It feels like a real privilege and luxury to open the mixtape, and it's not something I've experienced much of when I'm around you, Matt, but the pressure is then kind of put back on you to close it, and I think today's journey's been a wild one, and to end it now, it feels sad because I just feel like we're giving everything today, and there has to be a point where we say, well, now we need to call it a day.
So I'm going to choose an artist who has been described, and let me read the listings of her genre sounds, as slowcore, Americana, folk, ethereal, goth pop, dark ambient, heartland rock, classic rock, hawk rock, sludge, gospel, industrial, noise, horror electronica, country, and drone.
Is that where you find her record in HMV under that section?
Yeah, there's like hip hop, indie, and then there's a section where it has all of that, and then you'll find Ethel Cain, who is my choice as mixtape closer, and this is her single Punish, which was released in November last year, from her album Perverts. Ethel Cain. So I adore Ethel Cain. She released a record in 2022 called Preacher's Daughter, and I didn't get into it instantly. I saw a photo of her performing, I think it was at Gunnersbury Park in 23. She had this American flag shirt. You know, she kind of looks a bit pale. I nearly said ill. She doesn't look ill. She looks a bit pale. And I saw her, this photo of her, and the review was by a brilliant journalist called Hannah Ewens, and the way that Hannah lovingly described kind of this artist Ethel Cain and her sound, I needed to hear it. The way she looked and these words together. So I got Preacher's Daughter, and it's amazing. It's this insane mix of kind of religious, kind of gospel meets sort of uber modern pop, but all kind of through this kind of story that she has created. It's kind of a concept album, and it's written about, I'm not going to go into details because it's so complicated, but it's essentially it's a concept record about a load of really dark things. And she sort of became a bit of a star, a bit of a, not a celebrity, but she became very popular all of a sudden because of this record, and she toured it eventually, and I saw her at the Roundhouse last year, and have been very excited about Perverts, very excited about this new record. She's doing it all herself. It's not through a label, which is really super cool as well. The song Punish is quite long. It's not just long, but it's quite, it has an element of drone to it. It really drags itself out. It doesn't get somewhere quickly and leave. It's the opposite of Snake Eyes. This song stays with you. It lives in your brain and your soul and your ears, and it doesn't really kind of leave. And you have these layers upon layers of things that just get added. Like it's a real.
It's harrowing.
But weird. It has this ambient quality to it because you have this kind of continual, kind of very slow, slight change. But her vocals and what the song is about, again, I don't think it's a song that's kind of about anything real. I think she said it was about, like, it was a murder ballad, and it was about shame. And there's a story about a paedophile or someone who hurts children, and it's all about that person punishing themselves, and how do you ever sort of get over that guilt of being that sort of person. So it's really dark, a really dark song. I loved it at the mixtape on something so dark. And yeah, I'm a very, very big Ethel Cain fan. And even though this isn't as kind of instant as most of the stuff on her last record, I think that she's an incredibly interesting songwriter and artist. And I think she's wonderful. Are you a fan? Aware? Are you into this?
I'm aware. I didn't know much until you brought it to the mixtape, but what I've really appreciated about Ethel Cain is her encouragement for patient listening. We are genuinely, with Snake Eyes is a great example, living in a time where we're flooded with easy, digestible 2-minute songs. That's not a dig at them, because trust me, I absolutely love them, and I've got plenty of those that I listen to daily. But it's so refreshing and kind of stimulating that we get an artist who's brave to put out a 7-minute song that is a journey of her music. And this song, it's a brave choice, Matt, because it starts so soft and so delicate and builds into something that's explosive and cathartic, and a bit like Arlo Parks, you didn't know it was ever going to get there. And there's this monotonous sound of, I think I read it's an old swing, so you hear this swing sample.
It's just an old swing, yeah.
And it's really haunting, but it does feel universal. It's really weird, and it goes throughout the whole song as like a drum. It's that monotonous. But she says the line, it has always been this way, and it just absolutely crushes me. And then this huge guitar comes in, and I think I've said this already to you today. I was then obsessed, and I can't believe you got to see her live. Like, I couldn't even imagine how it would be. It must be fucking incredible, because
I mean, there was a lot of fawning. There was a lot of like people being incredibly excited to sort of be there. People hanging on it. People hanging on every word. It felt like
you could hear a pin drop.
It felt like obsession in a room. That's what it felt like to me.
Well, that's perfect for today then. But it's very depressing, and the subject matter and what we've spoken about today. For the listeners, if you do now want to go and, after today's last track, end it, don't do it. Life's good. Go back to the start of the playlist. Don't kill yourself. don't be too depressed. This song is pretty dark, but she's got experience. She's got a story to tell. Punish is unbelievable, dude. The impact it's had is phenomenal, and I'm going to treat myself. It's my birthday only 4 days ago behind the recording scenes, and I'm going to buy myself the vinyl because I want to get lost in it. I want to put on some nice headphones and listen and let myself just get lost in the music, because there's nothing else like it. You know, you can't even say Phoebe Bridgers is like it. It's on another level to that. It's there is only one Ethel Cain.
Yeah, I think, you know, she's often sort of put into comparison points with Lana Del Rey or Chelsea Wolfe.
Yeah,
all great artists, but yeah, she has this really genuine dark sort of center to her and her music that's very difficult to shake off when you listen to it. It's, you know, it's haunting. It's totally bewitching, and I don't think we'll ever end a mixtape on a song quite as depressing and sort of sad and scary and bleak as this, but this is genuinely what I'm listening to a lot at the moment. So as
I hope
I'm
you're
listening
okay.
to it, you guys have to all listen to it.
Is
Yeah,
this a cry for
This-
help? Are you all right, dude? Do you want to sit down and go for a beer and chat?
I'd love a beer. The thing is, I mean, I don't know what, you know, listeners think about it, but I often listen to sad music when I'm quite chipper. I quite like, you know, I quite like the sound. I quite like the vibe. I quite like listening to that, you know. It doesn't have to be happy music when I'm happy, sad music when I'm sad. I quite just like listening to depressing music when I'm just like feeling all right. Obviously this is like next level sad and depressing.
Maybe
and
next
horrible.
season we do top 5 tracks each of the most depressing songs of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Ethel Cain would
Yeah.
definitely be on that mixtape. But yeah, look, I hope people who don't know her, if any of this sounds even remotely interesting, I would definitely go back to Preacher's Daughter. That record, Perverts is great, but Preacher's Daughter is just, it's a phenomenal body of work, and it has a song in the middle called American Teenager, which by all intents and purposes sounds like a Taylor Swift song. It's very, very vibrant and shiny, and you know, I mean, its subject matter is not, you know, it's about people going to war and dying and dealing with a bunch of other horrible things, but the sound of it is essentially pop. So if anybody has any interest in her, I would absolutely say go and listen to Preacher's Daughter after this.
In the morning, I will mark myself again. He was a natural blush, saying you won't forget this. Shame is sharp, and my skin gives so easy.
It's had an impact on me, Matt. I love it, and it's very depressing, but I love it. So I think we've done a huge journey today. It's been a very interesting one, but I've loved every minute of it, and it's probably my favourite one we've recorded in season 1, which is a huge statement. But it's just a bit of a challenge, isn't it, to bring something new to everyone's, you know, picnic.
Yeah, I think it's different as well when it's kind of new artists, because, you know, when we're talking about things from our past or things, you know, that are linked to our family or our friends or our lives, you know, it's quite easy to sort of talk about why things mean something to you, why it is so, you know, prevalent in your kind of choices or your choice, you know, your kind of choice making. But when it's something about something you've just discovered, how do you talk about it without just sort of saying, saw them, they were great, really like this song, it's cool.
Yeah. We've done well.
So,
Pat ourselves
on
the back, and
so yes,
that's it.
Yes, that's it. So yes, so this has been Mixtape Podcast number 9 of season 1. Next week will be the final Mixtape Podcast episode of this season, Mixtape Podcast 10. we have a guest on that podcast. Are we going to reveal who the guest is? Or
No.
Are we going to save it?
Let them wait, and we'll do some cheesy little videos online of just some really obvious clues.
Lovely. So look, if you have enjoyed this mixtape, if you enjoyed this podcast, please do share with your friends. Please do help us get the word out on this podcast. We really enjoy it, but it is something that we work hard on. Please do like, comment, share, subscribe. It all really, really helps. And until next Friday, our final podcast of the season, it is only up to me to say goodbye.
Goodbye from me.
And we will see you next week, next Friday. Thank you very much.